It says preparing to live stream the meeting. Oh, in Jesus' name, it's all going to go well.
We're going to go okay. Now it's streaming live.
I think it is streaming live, but it still has that delay. So can you guys see us and hear us well?
Perfect.
Looks like we're live.
Okay, so there is a delay. We have to deal with it. So if you guys are okay with it and you see us all well, it is.
Perfect. I think we're live now.
All right. Well, hello, wonderful people. Hello, amazing ultimate coach. We are here live. Fari and my
Greg.
lovely husband, Greg Gonzague. And we have the fabulous, wonderful Chris and Grant Wattie all the way from New Zealand with us. And
hi, everyone.
Good morning.
What a
Good afternoon.
to have
Good
you
morning.
guys. Yeah.
Good evening.
Yeah, this is, what time is it in New Zealand right now?
So it's 9:30.
In the morning.
We've just been for a walk. We've just had a coffee and we're just starting the day.
Well, that's on Tuesday? On Tuesday. So this is Monday, 1:33 Pacific time. So, well, it's great to be here. It's lovely to have you here. And you guys, it's the first time I've gone live, and I am desperately trying to find the share. But if anybody wants to share and say anything, don't kill me. I don't know how to use it. So I just put your messages there. And do you, Chris and Grant, do you guys see any messages coming through?
No, but what you could do is you could make us co-host, and that way Grant is brilliant at technology, and he can be doing that in the background. And maybe, I know Greg's awesome as well.
Thanks very much.
Oh,
he can be
I
doing
got
that
it
in the background. Maybe, I know Greg's awesome as well.
Thanks very much.
Oh, okay. So I had to, if you guys speak, let me see if I can hear you. Grant?
Yeah.
Oh, good.
You can
Can
hear
you
us?
see us? Can you see us?
Perfectly, brilliantly.
Oh, perfect. Oh, good.
Fabulous.
So just press a button this is how well I know about it, to make you a co-host, but it just took me to where I can see the comments, but I don't know where that button is. That it just.
So you go to participants, and
it's not
click
there.
on that.
It's not there. It's not the participant button is not there. But now it's taking me to be live. It's okay. I just see it now.
Yeah,
I see if anybody gets comment, and then you can get it on your phone too. That if you see any,
if you can share.
Okay.
And then you can.
If we see any chats come up, we'll just share them.
Exactly. Until I get this done, my assistant Latara was going to be here, and I don't see her anywhere. Is not to be found. So I'm not blaming her at all. But I'm just saying I relied on her being to take care of it. So Greg has it on his phone too. Then if we get any questions, then we can just he can see it and then we can check it out. Well, it is the love chapter. It is a love season. We are here because we met through the Ultimate Coach Facebook group, and we met because of the Ultimate Coach book. And the entire book is, at the end of the day, is all about love. And clearly, I've always said how much the chapter love, chapter 35, has saved my sanity and my marriage to this incredible man that is the love of my life. I mean, I am blessed to be married to him, and that's why I thought the best is to come and meet you, fabulous couple. And the same as what we have, the love that I have for him and he has for me, the respect that I really learned all of that from the love chapter. And then you guys have had it for 40 years and do what you do amongst people. And now I am doing it with Greg. We're doing the couple coaching and all of that. It's wonderful to come and share.
Pickleballing.
Oh, that's right.
You just wanted him for a pickleball partner, didn't you?
Right.
We
Christine
pickleball.
just wanted someone to go running with, I think.
We do pickleball,
Maybe
but
have a few children.
yes, you don't do pickleball as partners because then it brings like friction. You don't want that. You want to come back off the pickleball and sit and have your meal in peace, and you don't want it to be like, yeah, I told you to hit the ball that way. You didn't run it. You don't need. You want to leave that in a pickleball court, you know, and come home and bring love home. So
It's like rally driving when you need a co-driver. They're just someone reading the map. That doesn't work either.
yes.
Oh, a lot of things, yeah.
That's
work that way.
That's exactly right. So that's why it's so wonderful to be here with you guys. And as we are all, both of you and both of us are into creating or helping people to create this love, the depth of the love that you guys have had it for 40 years. We've only had it for 5.5 years. I am his third wife and he is my second husband.
Wife.
You're my second husband.
She jokes. She used to joke.
Oh,
I
yeah.
would do so many
Your
things.
second wife.
Yeah, she doesn't. She doesn't do the laundry, or she doesn't put gas in the car. She doesn't vacuum. She doesn't wash. She's not allowed to wash.
Not that she doesn't.
So
He won't let me.
she'd always joke, say, "Oh, you're gonna make someone a good wife one day."
Yeah. I am blessed that he won't let me. Like I've not been able to wash one plate after dinner ever. Won't let me. He wouldn't let me, you know. And I said, God bless you for not letting me. But anyhow, to have this immense love, especially, you know what it is much harder when you are as old as we are. On Thursday, I'll be 67 and he just turned 70. So it's very difficult to keep the love, the flame of it going, because we both come from such a wounded backgrounds, you know. So it's that's why that brings me to ask you, Chris, in the Grant, how would you explain the concept of love for people, that they can be in a relationship, they can be in a current relationship, but they're feeling lonely? And you guys are in New Zealand, and I see so much separation, divorce, animosity in America today. And it's all over. It's not just America, but we live in America and we see that more here. And oh my God, how would you guys, as such beautiful 40 years of relationship and being who you are, how would you describe that? How would you see it all the way from New Zealand to here? Do you get the same amount in New Zealand? Is it here? Why people are so afraid of letting their hearts open to somebody else? That would be my question for you, Chris.
Yes. Okay. That's a big question. So if I'm hearing you right, you're asking me to describe why people, even though we can know this fabulous love that you're experiencing, and we also share, we can know, why are people afraid to open their hearts? Is that what you're asking?
Yes, ma'am. That's exactly right. Yes.
Yeah. Well, can I throw back another question to you?
Go ahead.
So my question, and we did have a little preamble about this before the show today, is according to the statistics and the research, what is the number one problem in the world today? According to the Surgeon General of the United States, what is the number one problem?
Definitely loneliness.
Absolutely. And why are people lonely? Perhaps it taps into the question that you asked before.
because
Yeah.
they're afraid of they're wounded, they're hurt,
Yeah.
and they're afraid of opening. I just walked this morning with a gorgeous, beautiful woman, and she said, we were just talking about this story of a relationship and all that, and then she goes, Fari, I am afraid to let go and I get hurt again. And a fear of rejection, fear of opening their heart and soul, because they've been wounded many, many times, and their authenticity in the way they loved was stolen from them, was
Yeah.
abused for,
Yeah,
know.
I was just going to ask Greg, what do you think, Greg? Like if you look at through your life, the times when you felt lonely, why do you think you felt lonely?
Yeah,
Maybe you've never felt lonely.
it's well,
Maybe you've always had
I've kind of used to being lonely. I had a really bad stutter when I was younger, and yeah, and I was the youngest of 4 children. So yeah, and I would cope with it in different ways. I would make ways to entertain myself. You know, I always joke with my kids. I would tell them I was so lonely when I was little. I had 2 imaginary friends, and they played with each other. That's how lonely. That's how lonely I was.
Beautiful.
It's funny now because there's so much social media. There's so many things that people can do to entertain themselves, and still people are still struggling to connect with other people. It's really a strange phenomenon to me. But people have different ways of coping. Yeah.
Did you feel lonely in your marriages at times as well? Because that's the other thing from the statistics. It shows that half of all marriages people are lonely in their marriage. So you singles don't think that you're going to find a partner and then suddenly not be lonely.
Yeah,
I mean, you can be lonely in a marriage.
I felt that way too, because I wouldn't voice my opinion when I was married. I would just go along with what was the way it was, the status quo. And because of that, looking back, you're always looking back in hindsight, 2020, looking back, I think, yeah, I should have been more vocal. I should have voiced the way that I felt, just reverted. I didn't do that. So I'm learning. Learning. It's a process. And thanks to Fari and her amazing guidance and coaching that I feel like a new person.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that.
Oh.
Yeah, I just want to add to that, because I think the truth is, Greg and everyone listening, is that if we're open, we're all learning. You know, the past that we've had is the past, and we did the best that we could at the time with the resources that we had. And when we know more, we do more, and we do better. And I think, and we be better. You know, coming back to the being group and the being philosophy here is we're choosing to be the best we can be. And I think it's absolutely, and a myth that Grant and I have come across again and again is this myth that you fall in love and life is happily ever after. So, if we're exceptionally honest, what does that mean? Falling in love and happy ever after. Would you like to speak to that, Grant?
Well, it's really interesting. I just want to, before I answer that, I just want to come back to what Greg was saying. How these patterns that occur in childhood often become the wounds that stop you from love, because you're born into love, right? You're born this loving baby. You're the same as everybody else. We've got beautiful grandchildren. They're just so loving, so full of joy, so full of love. And then what happens? For me, Greg, I was on the schoolyard. I had the same thing. I developed a stutter because, some kids said, we don't want to play with you. You're too big. And so I just felt like I didn't belong. And so from that moment, I developed the social anxiety. Like on the outside, there was nothing wrong with me. but I just thought I'm just going to have to do it on my own, you know, and that's can be quite lonely at times, you know. So I had to play individual sports like squash. I became good at squash,
Mm.
but I didn't like, you know, the team sports, and so became a bit of a rebel. But I had this stutter, and you know, my mum would fill in the gaps, and I would let other people talk, and you know, but then I felt lonely. So the number one myth, when I talk to people, and I've spoken to you know, thousands of people as a therapist in the early days, and people would say, well, you know, I'm lonely, and they sort of become a victim to their loneliness, believing, you know, I don't fit in. So you've got this kind of, on one hand, you've got this judgment that I don't belong. So, you know, if you can transform that to, you know, the truth is I do belong, and take responsibility then for your not fitting in, like, you know, for me, it was always out there that I was the oldest, mum was the oldest of 10. So I always even felt like in a big family gathering, I didn't belong. So it was always out there.
Wow.
So now taking responsibility, it's, you know, it's up to me to create love. To, if I feel like I haven't got a voice, then you know, I can go from expectations to expressing, to making requests. And, you know, as you said before, Greg, you know, actually coming forward and requesting to be a part of this, requesting that Chris sit down and talk to me, and, you know, understand what's going on. Does that answer your question
Oh,
in a
yeah.
roundabout way?
Yeah.
Thank you, Grant.
Mm.
Mm.
You know what I'm like realizing that I told you I'm not good in on Zoom. So it has taken us into my Facebook and not the Ultimate Coach Facebook. I'm just realizing it.
Oh,
Oh
that's all good.
my
That's
God.
okay.
But that's all
That's
right. What I can do, I can
Share it.
share that to them afterwards, and
Yeah.
I'd say, you know, it's I messed up.
That's-
You know,
And
but
do you know, it's the same with technology as it is in relationships. We're always, you know, we're open to learning, and what is perfect right now. You know, for some reason it's this way, and you know, it's the same. We have the same philosophy in our relationship, because of course after 40 years, you know, that first experience of that, it's often called the honeymoon phase, that you're, you know, you've just met and you're excited, and you know, it's on every level, it's all go, go, go. Of course, over 40 years, there's going to be some waves of
Yeah.
experience as we hit the inevitable challenges. You know, it's that is part of life. And I think, you know, accepting where we are right now and learning and growing from the last moments, challenges, and moving forward is really for us what it's about, isn't it?
Yeah. And just kind of going back to your question, like Chris and I put together a masterclass with what we considered to be the 5 shifts that someone who needs to save their marriage, or to create, you know, go from good to great in their marriage. And we kind of took this from all the patterns we'd seen in all the relationships and in our own relationship. And what do you think the most important thing was? What do you think is the most common pattern that occurs that gets in the way of couples developing a loving relationship? Do you have any
you know,
idea?
I'm trying to hear you. The rain is so heavy
Oh,
that
You have to speak
we're gonna
louder.
go on the phone like this. It is like, I'm scared. It's like hitting so hard.
well, I can't even hear the rain over there.
Oh my
What
God.
do you think's the number one problem that stops people from developing a loving relationship? Because you meet and you kind of fall in love, but then you go on to creating a loving relationship. What do you think's the number one problem?
I would think there would be lack of communication.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah,
That's-
exactly.
Just
Yeah.
guessing, but that's a big factor to me because I was
Yeah.
guilty of that myself.
Yeah, perfect.
I
What about
think
you,
lack of
Murray?
communication, but as well, again, it goes back to the fear of letting themselves go. And
Yeah.
it's the fear, it really is a lot of fear in there to just open up and what if in case they get hurt?
Mm.
Because
Yeah.
I see myself.
Mm.
Yeah.
Mm.
And it's just like when you hurt one of
Right.
the other one,
Having your guards up. all the
yeah,
time.
my guards were
Mm.
up like for the longest time. And
So, so then what stops the communication?
Mm,
What stopped the communication for you both
mm.
in your previous relationships and it might occur in this relationship? Like you know that that's a problem. We're not communicating. So
Yeah.
what stopped it?
One reason for me was that I wanted to avoid, I saw so much anger and so much unrest and fighting growing up.
Mm.
I did
Mm.
my best to avoid any type of confrontation at all. And if
Yeah.
something came up during my marriage and I didn't want to talk about it because I didn't want to make waves, but you internalize that. I internalized that,
Mm.
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
That was the case for me. Just didn't want to make waves. I didn't want to cause any trouble. I didn't want an argument.
Mm.
Yeah.
Still working on that to this day.
Yeah.
And Fari's a big help with that. Excellent.
Mm.
Mm. I love that answer because it's absolutely perfect. It's exactly what happens in just about every couple. Like we call it the tiger turtle.
Yes, and what I'm seeing in you,
This is a
Greg,
tiger.
is also what is Grant's typical response in in confrontation or conflict is to withdraw, like to avoid, to be like the turtle and put your head in the shell and hope it goes away. And of course, I think from what I know of Fari and what I know of myself, I definitely know this for myself. And I think that often we get together with someone who's the exact opposite of us, which is brilliant and complementary, and also can be a source of conflict down the track. Is I would say that for myself, and I'm imagining for Fari, that we're more like the tiger. When you go into your shell, we're going tap, 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 please open up, but not as nicely as that probably.
Talk to me. Talk to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so then that causes that downward spiral, that vicious cycle, whatever you prefer to call it, when we've got that type of communication.
And the issue with the turtle in the relationship is that you're still frustrated because there's issues that haven't been resolved, but you're not bringing them to the table. So then you withdraw, and this feeds into your loneliness because now you're going, the connection and love that you want, you're actually withdrawing from it. So both parties then become caught in this vicious cycle. And for the tiger, it's often the abandonment, love is leaving me. And so that throws up this kind of fight flight pattern of, I need to go forward and save it. and then the more that happens, and this occurs in every relationship I've ever worked with. And that's, quite a few. And I couldn't believe it. So when I'd say this to couples, talk about this as a distinction or a pattern, make all the difference because it's not about then it becomes about recognizing the pattern, not it's you talk too much or you criticize and blame me. No, but you just get defensive and you withdraw. And so now we're both right and we get caught in this pattern. But if I take responsibility for my frustration, then I can come forward and we use requests and agreements to create integrity, which is the number one solution is integrity, getting on the same page and me taking responsibility for what I need in the relationship.
Yes.
Yes,
Is that what you guys are seeing in your relationship?
Yes, yes.
100%. Yes, definitely.
Mm.
It's just
Mm.
my whole thing is that look, we've started something.
Mm.
There must be a profound, heartfelt love for each other.
Mm.
Let's not throw it away with each and every argument and frustration or whatever that we get between us. And let's, instead of pouring poison like a flower, pour water on it with our patience, with our ability to communicate, with instead of going in our shelves for 3 days and don't talk to each other and make it hell for each other. Let's immediately say, hey, can we have a conversation? Let's talk about it.
Yes.
Verbalize it. That was one of the things that I had to work very hard with Greg. He would just go in and he wouldn't talk at all. Or when he wanted to respond, then it was like yelling, and it'd be like, I'd be going like that. Why is he yelling? And I said,
Yeah.
but if you talk and you discuss,
Mm.
then I don't need to deal with this yell. And then but I kept on preaching to him. Then I ended up taking it myself as my own prescription.
Mm.
And I said, let's communicate.
Mm.
Communicate brings togetherness. And it's like, life is not about just finding ourselves, life is about creating ourselves for each other. Yeah. And let's be that creator in this day and age. So not only we love being with each other, not only we enjoy being with each other, everyone out there that sees us with us, they don't know, they just don't believe we're married. They said, how long have you been dating? You know, and they think we're new, and I just said, no, we're married, you know, and it's that purity in our love. How did it come to this? It's work. It takes work, but it also needs to take willingness in order to want to do
Yes.
the work that it takes.
Yes. And also, you know, for anybody listening here, you know, it's wanting to make this really practical. You know, it's amazing the number of couples that we work with, that when we say, well, how do you connect? You know, in your busy day where you're both busy with whatever you're doing, when and how do you connect? Oh, well, we watch TV, we have dinner with the TV going, we're busy at work, we're busy with the kids. So one of the tips that we found, just really a small tip that can transform, is small things often. And one of the small things is 10 minutes a day where you are focused on each other. So this is, you know, clearly you guys have got your own version of that, and Grant and I have our version of that. But, you know, for anybody wondering, well, where on earth do we start? Actually creating some time where
Is
you
that all I get? 10 minutes?
we're at a different life
Is
stage.
that in bed? Take,
So we're at a different life stage. But we've certainly had that time in our life where, you know, there's so many different demands. And actually, to be honest, that continues today, because it's not children in our house, it's grandchildren and our adult children and our aging parents, you know, and our business. And, you know, there's always things that can take all your time. So it's in fact making time for each other. So for example, we always have dinner together. You know, we sit there and talk at the table, and we don't have the TV or anything going, so that we can have that time together. What do you guys do to create?
Exactly that.
We do that.
We have music on. Greg
Nice.
immediately turns the music on, and we do not have TV on, so we can connect with each other. That's our time together.
Yes.
That's the time that is kind of end of the day. And sometimes I have Zoom calls after, so I'm having a short time limit to eat, but there's no TV in the picture. It's just us
Yeah.
two and connection, and it's just like, so how are you doing? What did it go on? What's happening? What are you
Yeah.
doing? The food is tasty. What do you need in the food more? And it's just to be with him, and to just actually for me to just watch him enjoy my cooking. I want to change that with the world.
And in the mornings too, we don't just jump right out of bed when the alarm goes off. We spend a few minutes talking to each other, you know,
Mm.
it kind of sets the tone for the day.
Hugging, holding,
Yes.
appreciate each other. Like we hug and hold and we
Mm.
kiss each other and we tell each other how much we
Yeah,
love
we
each
get the
other.
day off
Mm.
to a good start.
Mm.
Nice, mellow
Yeah.
start.
Everything. If you contribute into the relationship, then the
Mm.
relationship contributes to you. But if
Mm.
you just expect it that it's fine and it's going good, then
Mhm.
it stays as an expectation,
Mm.
not
Yeah,
becoming
and
as something that we're creating. It's a matter of creation. That's what I love so much about Steve Hardison says, you create. We create our relationship.
Mm.
Yeah,
And
he says, show me a cup of love. I mean, I'll give you $1
yes,
million if you bring me
that's
a cup of,
amazing.
I mean, love gets created, right?
right.
Correct.
And
Exactly.
one of the most challenging questions that I ask myself, if I feel something, or if I feel some sort of frustration, or I'm not getting what I want, this kind of judgment, then ask myself, how am I creating that? How am I creating my world such that there's a lack of love, because we're talking about love. But so I get to create, we're powerful creators by taking responsibility or taking the power back and saying, well, how can I create more love? And so many couples I see, it's like, oh, he doesn't give me what I want. He's, I'm not sure I've married my soulmate, or she doesn't do this for me. He doesn't do this for me. They just got this lack mentality that the world owes them, love. But if you take responsibility and say, well, how am I creating that? What is it about me that's creating that with my partner to withdraw? What is it that's creating my partner to get really upset with me all the time? And change that. Another thing we do is we're grateful at the end of the day, aren't we?
Yeah, I'm just picking up on what you said earlier, Greg, that you appreciate each other. And another version of that is actually just to, at the end of the day, usually when we're lying in bed together, we just say 3 things I'm grateful for today, and we just think, okay, I'm grateful for, we just share them, and it just brings that connection. It's just little practices like appreciation or gratefulness that actually really, they just put love into the relationship. That's intentional. It's not just hopeful. It's actually being, creating this love.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And I have to acknowledge Chris for that, because everyone has their strengths, and Christine always remembers, so what are the 3 things we're grateful for? And she'll always ask that question. So then, we get to share that moment together. And sometimes it's challenging. You go, I can only think of one thing. But then as you sit with it, you go, oh, that's right. And something else will come up, because the brain likes to go to the negative.
Right.
And
Yeah.
and that's the other thing. We have this rule: no negatives, none. Just cut all the negatives out, and then you've got a bank balance, a very healthy emotional bank balance, because you've only ever got positive things, the things we're grateful for, the kind words, the kind things we do for each other, and 0 negatives to reduce the bank balance. So, I mean, occasionally there'll be a few, but that's the standard.
We go for the top standard, and then when we fail, as we inevitably do as human beings, because we're not perfect, then we use that as a learning opportunity.
Then we go into the tiger turtle. Chris says, why are you being so grumpy? I'm not being grumpy. Yes, you are. Why are you criticizing me? And then we just have a stop. So as soon as we get into it, which isn't very often now, we just go stop, and we both agree that anyone can call stop, like a traffic light, and then we just go back to green, take responsibility. And when your emotion comes down, it's important to sit with your emotion and just let it process, and then we can just go back to loving each other again.
That's right.
Yes.
That's right. That's right. It's a blessing that we've got from, as I said, I keep on saying it, from this love chapter that I got, that got me to be where I am today. And I'm grateful to Steve Hardison and Amy Hardison for writing the fabulous book that has led us there, and for us to meet you. And I know we can go on forever and never stop to talk, but now I'm going to have to share this to the ultimate coach, and then I'll tag you guys. And then hopefully by next week, I'd learn how to go live on Ultimate Coach. And one day I'll learn, I guess.
Wonderful.
Yeah. It's so lovely to have you both here. It's so excellent for your precious time that you're giving us. And we thank you. And I am saying it to even when it goes to the Ultimate Coach Facebook, that you have any questions, bring it us. Ask us and bring it to the table, and hopefully next week, for the third time, they say this is the charm, I would learn to go live on the Ultimate Coach, and we have a great time there too.
Yeah, and I just want to acknowledge both of you, and especially Greg, for you, the self-professed tutor, using our language. You added a lot of wisdom to today's session, and I really appreciated that. And also Fari for driving this process. It's just, it's awesome to get together and talk about one of the most important things to all of us, which is, how do we share love? How do we share what we have, and create more of that in the world? So thank you to you both.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I really believe that what
Grant.
we have is not for us to keep, is for us to share.
Mm,
And make the world around us a better place to live for everybody, for as many as we can touch.
yes. Thank you.
Thank you, Grant, for the questions, and it was a
Yeah.
pleasure being here. We could still talk about more. I had some more comments, but we ran out of time. But thank you.
Maybe next week.
Yeah, we have to remember to make room for us, the quieter ones, and the.
There you go.
Yeah. Next week, maybe we'll hear the
So
wisdom.
maybe we can make a request that we let Greg
Grant,
say
did you
something.
consider yourself as a quiet one, Grant, for a second?
Sorry, I actually asked.
I've got so much that's been pushed down that it's got to come out then.
I love your question.
I really, I'm puzzled, Grant. Really? You were the quiet one?
No, I'll transform that, I think.
Lovely
Thank you
to
very
be with
much.
you. You guys
Okay.
are fantastic.
Thank you so
We
much.
so enjoy you, and I hope everybody else enjoyed you as much as we did. And we
Yeah.
see your lovely faces next Monday, hopefully in
Beautiful.
the correct platform at
Thank you.
30 Pacific time.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Greg.
Blessings
Okay.
to you
Thanks,
both.
Bye for now.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Is it gone?